Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Imagine sailing across one of the world's most dangerous oceans with nothing more than a wooden ship, a square sail, and the stars above to guide your way. No GPS. No engines. No maps showing what lay beyond the endless horizon. Only courage, determination, and an unshakable belief that somewhere beyond the sea, new lands were waiting to be discovered. Now imagine accomplishing this journey nearly 500 years before Christopher Columbus was even born. It sounds impossible, yet history tells a different story. More than 1,000 years ago, fearless Viking explorers crossed the icy North Atlantic and reached the shores of what is now Canada. They became the first known Europeans to set foot in North America centuries before the famous voyages that changed world history. Their arrival was not a myth, not a legend, but a remarkable achievement that remained forgotten for almost 1,000 years. For centuries people believed that Columbus discovered North America in 1492. School textbooks repeated the story generation after generation. But hidden beneath the grassy hills of northern Newfoundland lay silent evidence waiting to rewrite history. Ancient buildings, iron-working furnaces, Viking tools, and artifacts revealed a truth that shocked archaeologists and historians around the world. This is the incredible story of the Vikings who reached Canada 1,000 years ago. Our journey begins in Scandinavia during the late 10th century. Life in the Viking world was harsh. Long winters covered the land with snow for months. Farming was difficult, resources were limited, and survival demanded strength and courage. Yet these challenges shaped one of history's greatest seafaring civilizations. The Vikings were far more than fierce warriors. They were expert shipbuilders, skilled navigators, talented craftsmen, traders, and explorers. Their legendary longships were masterpieces of engineering for their time. Built from oak, flexible enough to survive rough seas, and light enough to be carried across land when necessary, these ships allowed them to travel farther than almost anyone else on Earth. Over generations they expanded across Europe, settling in places that today include England, Scotland, Ireland, Iceland, and Greenland. Every successful voyage encouraged them to push even farther into the unknown. One of the most famous Viking explorers was Eric the Red. After being exiled from Iceland because of violent disputes, he sailed west and discovered Greenland around the year 985. Although much of Greenland was covered in ice, he cleverly named it Greenland to attract settlers. His strategy worked, and hundreds of Norse settlers followed him to establish farming communities along the island's southern coast. Among those growing up in Greenland was Erik's son, Leif Erikson. Unlike many warriors of his age, Leif possessed an extraordinary curiosity about lands beyond the horizon. He listened carefully to stories told by sailors who claimed they had seen unknown coastlines even farther west. One merchant, Bjarni Herjolfsson, reportedly became lost during a voyage and accidentally spotted unfamiliar forests across the ocean. Instead of exploring them, he turned back toward Greenland. But his story captured Leif's imagination. Dense forests were especially valuable because Greenland lacked large trees suitable for construction. If such forests truly existed, they could provide timber for houses, ships, and tools. More importantly, they represented opportunity. Leif purchased Bjarni's ship and assembled a brave crew willing to risk everything on an expedition into waters where no one knew what dangers might exist. Around the year 1000, they departed Greenland and headed west across the cold Atlantic Ocean. The voyage itself was extraordinary. Violent storms could appear without warning. Thick fog often hid the stars. Massive waves threatened to overturn their wooden vessel. Icebergs drifted silently through the freezing waters, creating deadly obstacles. There were no rescue ships and no safe harbors waiting ahead. Every day they faced the possibility that they would disappear forever. After many difficult days at sea, land finally appeared on the horizon. The first place they reached was a rocky, barren coastline. There were flat stones, mountains, and very little vegetation. The Vikings called this place Vinland, meaning the land of flat stones. Most historians believe this was Baffin Island in modern Canada. Although impressive, Vinland did not offer the resources they were searching for. The expedition continued southward. Soon they encountered another coastline covered with dense forests stretching toward the horizon. Timber was everywhere. They named this region Markland, meaning forest land. Today, historians generally associate Markland with the coast of Labrador. For the Vikings, who desperately needed wood in Greenland, this discovery alone was immensely valuable. Yet Leif believed there was still more waiting farther south. The explorers continued sailing along the coast until they finally reached a place unlike anything they had seen before. The climate felt milder. Rivers flowed through green valleys. Fish filled the waters in astonishing numbers. Wild berries grew across the landscape, and the surrounding forests provided endless supplies of timber. Here, they decided to spend the winter. Without realizing it, these Viking explorers had become the first known Europeans to establish a settlement in North America. Little did they know that their temporary camp would become one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever made, proving nearly 1,000 years later that the Vikings had reached Canada centuries before Columbus ever crossed the Atlantic.